I'd have some cured human a little.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Would you have any?
If I were starving, I mean, I have,
One of my favorite questions to ask people is if they would eat a people burger. Now, hold up. Before you start getting all judgmental, this is a very good question to see what kind of person you're talking to. So when I say people burger, I obviously mean cannibalism. And I often think of this because there's been a handful of cannibal serial killers in media and like in the news like years ago. Jeffrey Dahmer being like the biggest name. And so I normally break it down into different categories. Survival, like you survive a plane crash, you're in the middle of nowhere, like you have nothing else to eat except for like the deceased. A lot of people say in a survival situation that they would.
to death, I'm eating me some dead humans.
Well,
Because it's survival, like they're not too worried about the ethics of it. And I'm like, okay. And then some people just say no, under no circumstances would they ever do such a thing, which is like also understandable. But for the people that say that they would in a survival situation, I'm like, why though? Like, why would you like pass up this like ethical conundrum? I'm like, well, it's survival, they justify it. I'm like, okay, so since you're justifying it, how far can I get this person to admit? So I'm like, okay, what if it was ethically sourced? And they're like, what do you mean? I mean, like how animals are, there's like ethical treatment of animals and unethical treatment of animals, like at the farms and stuff. I'm like, what if it's ethically sourced? And they're like, what? I don't even know what that means. I was like, let's just say it was lab grown, because then it's not really a person. Because they're lab growing meat right now, or at least trying to. I don't know if it's FDA approved. But the idea is that they could take a cell sample and make a burger or a steak out of it. And I'm like, okay, what if you had a lab-grown people meat? Would you eat a lab-grown people burger? And most people say no. They cannot justify it, even if it's 100% ethical. Like, this is very similar to that one Rick and Morty episode where, like, they get the spaghetti from people. And a lot of people say no. And I would argue, if you've ever been adventurous with food, like I've eaten frog legs, I've eaten snake, I've eaten gator, it's like, especially if you didn't tell me beforehand, of course. And so some people, I got to admit, that if they didn't know, they wouldn't care, like ignorance is bliss. But it's really fun to see people's reactions to these questions, because some people will be so bent. You'll ruin somebody's day, guaranteed. You'll ruin somebody's day if you ask them these questions. And then some people you'll like just confuse. And then there's the people where you can see it in their eye where they're lying to you, but they would totally eat a person. And those are the people that I like to stay away from.